Alright, today, um, just gonna, I had somebody ask me about, like a crackle texture on the outside of like a vase or whatever. And there's a few different ways you can do it. You can use crackle slip, which is a slip that pulls apart while it dries. Um, Problem with that is that crackle slip recipes usually have to be mixed and used in the same day or like within a few days. Otherwise, they just tend to end up just being a normal slip, and you can't tell until it dries. So it's kind of a bummer. Um, Another way you can do it is to um, throw your general form and then put some slip onto the outside of like a vase or whatever before you stretch it out, and then just hit the slip with a heat gun. The problem that I ran into with that is that the slip would sometimes peel off, which is another bummer. So my preferred method is to use sodium silicate, which is a deflocculant, but it has this other property where it dries things out. So I get mine from my local pottery supply. It's just says sodium silicate, as you can see. Yeah, it's just kind of a thick gel, and I'll show you how to use that. Another thing you'll need is a heat gun. It's just a regular old heat gun. I think they're like $20 on Amazon, whatever. Yeah, and then you'll need your clay. So today I've got a 6-pound chunk here. I'm just gonna throw a vase, and I'll crackle part of it. So I'll just show you what that process is like. I won't go too in depth on the throwing aspect. If you've reached this point, you already know how to throw, so I'll probably speed up this throwing part. I'm going to throw it into a cylinder and then I'll come back to you guys. Alright, once you've got your cylinder pulled, leaving the walls just a slightly thick, just because once you get the sodium silicate on there and start stretching it, the cracks will go in quite a bit. So once you get your cylinder pulled, just go over it with a rib just to square it up, and then remove all of the slip. You want all that slip off. So you might have to hit it a couple of times with the rib. Any spots that are wetter than others will pose a problem when it comes to the texture. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and trim the foot now, or just square this off to the base. One last scraping. Okay. So there's some slip in the bottom here I'm just going to remove. I don't think it'll hurt anything, but it won't help either, so now I'm planning on making a kind of a shouldered vase, and I want the texture up here on the top, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'll use the trim tool and just kind of mark where I want the texture to go. So maybe between there and there. And I'll just remove these chunks. Okay, so that's where I want the texture to go. So it's pretty simple. I just have like a dirty little dish here. The paintbrush, and then got my jar of sodium silicate here. So I'll just open this up. I'm just going to pour a tiny bit in here. It doesn't take much. Oh, that's too much. Okay. Close it back up. This stuff dries out into pretty much glass, so just get your brush all goobered up, and then just apply a nice even coat. You can tell where it's at because sodium silicate is very shiny, and you're going to want to clean that out, not in any water that you're going to recycle, because like I said, it's a really strong deflocculant, so if you pour your slip into your reclaim, this will just totally screw it up, so don't do that. Try not to get it, in your throwing stuff if you recycle your clay. If you don't recycle your clay, who cares then, right? Okay, so with this, we're just gonna heat it up with the heat gun. It's loud, so it won't make much sense for me to talk during this. I'm just gonna speed it up. You want to heat it until it's not quite so shiny. Alright, so it's not quite so shiny anymore. It should be. Oh yeah, should be good. So the trick is that once you've got, of course, that on, you can't touch this outside part anymore. So you have to do all the shaping from the inside, which can get tough. You're going to want to support it as much as you can. When you're down here, you want to support the base and the rim once you start going higher. So for these, I like to use like a small wooden rib. This is a small Kemper wood kidney. It's like it's got a straight edge and then a rounded edge. It's kind of kidney shaped, I guess. Not a true kidney, but one of these bad boys. So when I'm shaping, I like to pull up with this. So yeah, you're going to do all your shaping from the inside here. So just kind of slowly work your way up. You can see already it's starting to crack, so you've got enough sodium silicate on there. Just continue shaping. We're going to finish the top up off here. Top up off. Top. I'm going to finish the top off up here later, so I'm just kind of stretching the area with the texture here as we pull up. I'm just kind of ending my pulls right after the texture there. You can see my lines. Stretchy, stretchy. Take it nice and easy. You don't have anywhere to be. Here's what the crackles look like right now. Pretty good. Just gonna keep at it. It's kind of like a big crack here where I gouged it a little bit earlier, so I'm just going to take just a tiny piece of slip here and just lodge it in there so that hopefully the crack doesn't migrate all the way through. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so the rest of the throwing is pretty dry. I mean, you can use water inside, but you don't want stuff dripping down into the cracks, so on the outside it's best to use a rib. I'll probably use a sponge just to avoid friction on the inside because of all those cracks, that area is really weak. Just supporting inside with the sponge, bringing the shoulder up. There we go. If you need some moisture, just get your sponge and slightly dampen it. I'm just going to thin this clay out up here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and switch to a rib, smooth it out there, and touch up the bottom, get everything nice and smooth. Just touch up the bottom here. Go ahead and trim a little bit more off. Shimmy the rim. Make that sucker nice and smooth. And there we go. Sodium silicate texture. I'm just gonna touch up these lines here. There we go. And we'll just we'll clean that up once it sets up a little bit more. Anyway, yeah, that's sodium silicate texture. Let's see if we can't get a close-up of what it looks like here. So, a pretty fun thing to do with this texture is once it's all set up, is to take a different colored slip and fill the cracks in with it. So on this I might take like a red slip and just totally fill the cracks in and then scrape it back to the texture. I might do that later. Anyway. Thanks for watching.